Feeling very sad today. Don't often wear black to film videos, but I thought I would. Black ensemble here. Had a good cry this morning, which isn't a bad thing. It was actually a kind of healing, purging, shedding of the tears of ages, really, and it was brought on by a beautiful mantra which was sent to me by a friend of mine. It was one of the first. I always look out for the first thing I receive when I open my phone in the morning, and it was a text from Chloe Goodchild. She actually sang at the 12-12-12 One World event in London, the most amazing devotional singer, and she sent me a link to her songs, which I'll put beneath here, and I played one of them, and it just really was just like being in some kind of medicine ceremony, and it just really helped me to just have a good cathartic cry, which is very, very cleansing, very healing. And then I looked out the window and it was raining this morning, so when it rains, that's like a shamanic cleanse. I spent many hours making one of my forensic videos where I scripted it and filmed a lot of screen footage on ScreenFlow and did a lot of editing, and then my hard drive crashed and I lost it all. And then Kobe the dog, Kobe, come on, good dog, there you go. Yeah, Kobe's with me today. And then Kobe the dog ate the script. It literally ripped it up to pieces. So I took that as a piece of divine guidance that maybe the video wasn't on the right track. And so instead I thought I'd do one of my free-flowing, rambling versions, which take a lot less time, but I may well add some of the bits that I researched. I may well add some of them into this video, just to give you a bit of context. So let me tell you why I was feeling sad. Oh, and by the way, just to mention, a lot of people say to me, why can't you make your videos shorter, Rachel? Why can't you just do them in 10 minutes? So hopefully in this first 10 minutes, I'll give you the gist, and then I'll go on longer for the many people who do quite like my long rambling videos. And I'm including a treat for you at the end for those of you tenacious enough to stick around. A bit like, do you remember those good old days when you used to go to the cinema and at the end of the movie everyone would get up and leave, and if you stayed and watched all the credits right at the very end, you were given a little reward and a beautiful snippet of entertainment. And so I always make it a point to stay right to the end of a movie, and so I like to build in a little reward if you're tenacious enough to stay to the end. I guess you could just skip forward to the last 3 minutes or so. Anyway, let me tell you why I was feeling sad and why I was moved to tears. And let me just say as well, I've taken a different route. We're going to source. We're walking up the river here, so you can see all of these weirs and these flat beds of river and weirs. They were all built by the Victorians to slow down the river to allow the fish to breed. So it makes for some spectacular scenery, but it also makes it quite noisy in places, so I'm hoping you can hear me. Not a lot of people around actually, which is nice, because it always changes the energy when I come across people on these walks. which is why I quite like to sort of ramble in places where not many people go. But this is quite a popular public footpath by the river Lathkill. I'm headed up towards Overhaddon, and such a beautiful walk actually, especially in the summer. So beautiful when the Lathkill Hotel was open, and you could end the walk with a nice glass of cold beer overlooking the Dales. But of course that joy has been closed off for us. Hopefully it will come back very soon. Maybe even this weekend. Who knows, with this grand reopening that I'm hearing so much about, which I think is happening on Sunday all over Europe on the 30th of January. So whether any local businesses, pubs, restaurants will be bold enough to defy the government diktats and open this weekend remains to be seen. So the reason why I was so sad this morning, and the reason why listening to that beautiful mantra just drew tears, cathartic tears, as a kind of healing purge. In the video that I mixed yesterday that I lost, I was explaining in quite some detail, because I know how many of the naysayers won't believe anything unless it's proved in some way. So I pieced together a very detailed forensic video explaining that what is going on is a global hostile takeover bid. And of course it's being led by the World Economic Forum. I was taking a look at the World Economic Forum site, and I was researching who funds them and who their partners are. It's a private company, an unelected body. It's funded by the world's leading 1,000 companies. And in amongst those companies, it has what it calls strategic partners. And all of these companies pay for the World Economic Forum. And it's this strategic board, headed by Klaus Schwab, which has come up with this great reset blueprint for our collective future. And of course, everyone is saying, no one elected these people. What gives them the right to dictate our future? This is not democracy. But unfortunately, one of the realizations this morning was that we did vote them in. We voted them in with our money. We voted them in with our clicks and our likes and our online activity and our social media activity and all of those. Come on. Just get through another little gateway style. You see here, there's a beautiful little tiny gap in the rock, which is just big enough for human legs and a little dog, but not a sheep or livestock. Yeah, so unfortunately, we did vote in the World Economic Forum. We voted with our money. And you may well have seen on Facebook, live streamed by Reuters, which is a strategic partner of the World Economic Forum, along with Facebook and Google and AstraZeneca and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Pfizer, all strategic partners. So not just part of the 1,000 funders, strategic partners involved in developing this great reset strategy. So Reuters live streamed an address from Davos this week, introduced by Klaus Schwab. And who was introduced to us but President Xi Jinping? Xi Jinping, have I pronounced that right? The President of China. So the interesting thing about that live stream. You can watch it on my Facebook timeline. Just look at the comments. Literally, they were the comments of a baying mob. And this is what we have now. We have the baying mob who can see what's going on. They can see what's happened in China. They can see what's happened in Hong Kong. And now Klaus Schwab is wanting us to make friends with President Xi Jinping.
We all welcome now His Excellency Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China.
Professor Klaus Schwab, ladies and gentlemen, friends, the past year was marked by the sudden onslaught of the COVID-19 pandemic. Global public health faced severe threat, and the world economy was mired in deep recession. Humanity encountered multiple crises rarely seen in human history. The past year also bore witness to the enormous resolve and courage of people around the world in battling the deadly coronavirus. Guided by science, reason, and a humanitarian spirit, the world has achieved initial progress in fighting COVID-19. That said, the pandemic is far from over. The recent resurgence in COVID cases reminds us that we must carry on the fight. Yet we remain convinced that winter cannot stop the arrival of spring, and darkness can never shroud the light of dawn. There is no doubt that humanity will prevail over the virus and emerge even stronger from this disaster. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, history is moving forward, and the world will not go back to what it was in the past. Every choice and move we make today will shape the world of the future. It is important that we properly address the four major tasks facing people of our times. The first is to step up macroeconomic policy coordination and jointly promote strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive growth of the world economy. We are going through the worst recession since the end of World War II. For the first time in history, the economies of all regions have been hit hard at the same time, with global industrial and supply chains clogged and trade and investment down in the doldrums. Despite the trillions of dollars in relief packages worldwide, global recovery is rather shaky, and the outlook remains uncertain. We need to focus on current priorities and balance COVID response and economic development. Macroeconomic policy support should be stepped up to bring the world economy out of the woods as early as possible. More importantly, we need to look beyond the horizon and strengthen our will and resolve for change. We need to shift the driving forces and the growth models of the global economy and improve its structure, so as to set the course for long-term, sound and steady development of the world economy. The second is to abandon ideological prejudice and jointly follow a path of peaceful coexistence, mutual benefit, and win-win cooperation.
We gave China the power in every cheap toaster and bit of plastic and low-cost piece of clothing that we purchased, and kind of knew about the sweatshops and the slave labour in China, but kind of turned a bit of a blind eye to it because we wanted our consumer luxuries and we wanted it cheap. And so we didn't really think about the little children in the sweatshops and the workers committing suicide and the regime where if you don't work hard and you don't turn up, you lose your privileges and your rights. You lose your rights to food, to travel, where everything is controlled by AI And unfortunately, that's exactly what is on the way to the rest of the world under this hostile global takeover bid. So the reason for my tears were my own shame, the fact that I've been complicit in this, and you've been complicit in this, every one of us who've taken the cheap deal, who bought the cheap plastic Chinese low-cost crap, basically, that conks out after 6 months, 12 months or so. Every single one of us is culpable. And that's why I was crying, the realization of what we've done. Just going to stop here and just tune in here. Hoping you can see signs of new life, signs of hope, signs of spring. So, oh my goodness, and look how fast this river is. Look how fast this river is. Okay, Kobe, hold on. I'm going to have to just pause for a second while I put Kobe on the lead, because this river is so fast, if he falls in, we are in big trouble, aren't we? Yeah, we're going to have to walk to lead on this little stretch, sweetie. Okay. Woo! Here we go. Look at this. Whoa. Hope you can see it. Come on. Really is whitewater rafting rapids. Let's get past the stretch, because if Kobe falls in there, he's going to be swept away. It's going to be very difficult for me to save him. And I don't think he's very good at swimming yet. So let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. Whew. So when you take this walk to source, in the summer, it's pretty much dried up by this point. And I don't actually think we can go much further. Let's just let Kobe have a little paddle in the water. You can see here the sign. Hope you can see that. The river Lathkill dries up every year due to historic mine workings, causing catastrophic loss of aquatic wildlife and habitat. Please join the Friends of Lathkill Dale to follow our progress to save the river. Don't think I can go much further. In fact, although, let's have a look here. Let's see if we can go a bit further. Trouble is, the further I go, the further I'm going to have to walk back. Yeah, so it is possible to go even further up the river. And here's another little sign here. That's interesting, isn't it? Lathkill Dale, one of the 5 dales that make up the Derbyshire Dales National Nature Reserve, covering some 144 hectares. Great little figure there, 1212. It's my birthday, the 12th of the 12th, 144. Magical number. Lathkill Dale includes wildlife habitats such as limestone grassland, hay meadow, ash woodland, cliffs, screes, and the river itself. And dogs beyond that gate, dogs have to be kept under strict control. So I think I'm going to start taking a walk back here. So let me just end this video, because so many people with all my videos, they say, yeah, Rachel, we get the problems, but what do we do? What do we do? So I worked out 6 key recommendations of things that I feel it's important for us to do. And they're a mixture of what I call 5D recommendations and 3D recommendations. Kobe, come on. Let's go back. Come on, sweetie. That's it. Okay. So I'm just going to... Let's just walk back. And we'll get past that noisy bit of the river and I'll tell you the 6 recommendations. It'll probably take me a couple of minutes to do this, negotiate this, but I'm not going to switch the video off because I quite like doing a one take. And it's quite nice. Come on, come on. It's quite nice for you to, if you want to enjoy the scenery, otherwise skip forward a few minutes if you don't want to see the river. And let's try and keep Kobe on a bit of a tight rein, tight leash. Woohoo! This water is so powerful, so healing actually. To walk by. So much quiet waters, pretty noisy waters. So let us start with, firstly, with you and how to ride the intensity of this storm that we're going through. So it's vitally important to, in my humble opinion, to develop some kind of practice which allows you to come back to center. And the way to think of it is a bit like standing in the eye of a storm, in the eye of a hurricane. That still place in the eye of the hurricane where when you can get to that place, a bit like the Buddha said, when you come to the center of the wheel, the storm can be raging and the wheel can be turning 1,000,000 miles an hour, but if you're at the center, you can withstand it. So it's so key to have a meditation or a prayer practice, all of those breathing practices, yoga, all of those ways to come back to center, to come back into the heart, to come back to that place of stillness and peace and calm, to calm the nervous system. And of course, walking in nature is a great one. So the second thing that I'd really say is to resource yourself, and this is a trauma healing thing, which is to identify the resources that bring you comfort and peace and happiness and joy. So that might be taking a long, hot, deep bath of Himalayan salts. It may be listening to beautiful music. It may be stroking your pet. It may be things like yoga, playing your favorite musical instrument. And it may even be alongside nutritious, delicious food and drink. It may be just some resources that just, maybe they're your kind of guilty treats. And the key thing is not to beat yourself up if you're feeling the need to resource yourself with a glass of wine or a cigarette or whatever it is. The key thing is just to allow it and just to develop a kind of conscious relationship with anything that feels a bit like an addiction. Oh, here we are. We're back to the fenced part, which is good. So we'll walk a bit more freely. So the third thing which follows on from that is to find a support group. This could be an online support group or it could be a local support group. And it could just be a small group of a few of you. I mean, last year I had the most amazing inner circle mentoring group, it started off 6 of us and it ended up 5 of us. We're such good friends as a result of that, and we really were committed to a 9-month journey together to really work through anything that came up in that group. And I still have that support group, and it's super precious. Yes, I've just created a new online support group for all of those people who were liking my YouTube videos and just opened it, and I just thought, you know, there's no money motive to it. Just sign up at my website, rachelelnor.com, and come on a Zoom call every Monday at 12 noon. And those have been really, really beautiful for my soul, just to open up a call and ask people at random. I mean, I don't know who the people are on that call. Could be government spies for all I know. It's just so cathartic to have that group and all of the positive engagement and comments and love and light and suggestions and help. I'm so grateful for having the inspiration to create that, and I'm so grateful to everyone who's joined that and who joins those calls, and I'm posting them on YouTube and Odyssey, so please do have a look at some of those calls. They really are salve for the soul if you're feeling a bit depressed and lonely and lost at the moment, to know that there are others like you. Okay, so the fourth key thing that I feel is really, really important for us right now, and that is to stop voting with our money for these big corporates and to really find ways to support small, independent, local businesses. Because if this is allowed to continue, what is going to happen is that the only places where you will be able to purchase what you want or get food or get supplies or buy anything will be the big retailers, the big corporates, and they will be able to push through rules and regulations that governments could never push through under human rights laws. But companies, private corporations can do it. And that's why we're starting to see you can't come in this shop without a mask. And soon it will be you can't come in this shop without a vaccination. You can't get on this flight without a vaccination. This is the danger, folks. If we close off, or if we allow to be closed off, all of those alternative sources, what will happen, hold on, is that we will create a monopoly and we will have to comply if we want all of the basics. And that's exactly how China works now. If you're good and you comply and you behave and you go by the rules, you get credits and you're allowed to do various things like buy things and travel places. But if you're bad and you don't comply, those things are closed off. And it's a way of command and controlling us, because by the end of this, the governments, they're not going to have any money left. All of the money has gone to the big corporates. Capitalism has flowed all of the resources, all of the assets, all of the distribution channels, all of the communication channels. They're all owned by big corporations. Bit of a panic there. Some dogs were approaching. Yeah, so really important that we keep small businesses alive, and it might be a little bit more expensive and it might take a bit more effort. I haven't bought anything from Amazon, well, for months and months now. It's actually saved me a hell of a lot of money, because it was just so easy to buy from Amazon, just that one click thing. But I'm really thinking twice, and if I really, really need something and I need to get it online, I'm searching through DuckDuckGo to find independent suppliers and send my money direct to those small businesses. We have to keep them alive, and we have to support small businesses at this current time. And the final thing that is really important, a 3D realm, material realm thing, and that is to keep the pressure on. Keep the pressure on MPs, keep the pressure on official bodies, on your school, on your head teachers, on your doctor, everyone who is in a position of authority. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll know that on the 29th of December, I did a Freedom of Information request Firstly, into the Office of National Statistics, who then directed me to the National Health Service digital inquiries, asking for information on adverse reactions to the COVID vaccinations. They replied back saying that they did not have this information. I've been basically fobbed off, so I've done another Freedom of Information Act in response to that. I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to be tenacious. We have to follow all of these official channels before they're closed off. We have to use the channels of democracy, of freedom of information, to really push back. We have to use all of these channels to find ways to put a spanner in the works of what's going on, to be the grit in the shoe, to be the drag, to encourage those leaders to waver and to lose their nerve. That's my sense of it. There have to be enough people at the top who start to realise what's going on and who lose their nerve. And with that, as I need to get past these dogs, I'm going to close this call. I'm sending you lots of love. Have a great day. Bye for now.
Woman of the wisdom tree, goddess of humanity, singing of the unity we long for. Mother of eternity, naked in her mystery, singing of the unity we long for. Fierce and gentle, wild and free, simple in her majesty, dancing in the unity we long for. Woman of the wisdom tree, goddess of humanity, singing of the unity we long for. Mother of eternity, naked in her mystery, singing of the unity we long for. Fierce and gentle, wild and free, simple in her majesty, dancing in the unity we long for. Om of humanity, singing of the unity we long for. Mother of eternity, naked in her mystery, singing of the unity we long for. Fierce and gentle, wild and free, simple in her majesty, dancing in the unity we long for. Woman of the wisdom tree, goddess of humanity, singing of the unity we long for. Mother of eternity, naked in her mystery, singing of the unity we long for. Fierce and gentle, wild and free, simple in her majesty, dancing in the unity we long for. Woman of the wisdom tree, goddess of humanity, singing of the unity we long for. Mother of eternity, naked in her mystery, singing of the unity we long for. Fierce and gentle, wild and free, simple in her majesty, dancing in the unity we long for. humanity, singing of the unity we long for. Mother of eternity, naked in her mystery, singing of the unity we long for. Fierce and gentle, wild and free, simple in her majesty, dancing in the unity we